Many seniors feel worried when they hear words like plaque, blocked arteries, or calcium score. And one question often comes up right away: can this condition improve, or does it only get worse over time? Because online, people see strong claims everywhere. One drink, one supplement, one food that promises to clean the arteries fast. But what is actually true, and what should you really focus on? If that question has ever confused you, stay with me, because today we are going to look at a simple meal pattern that may support healthier arteries in a more realistic way. Hello everyone, welcome to Senior Health with Dr. Sarah Mitchell. Today, we are going to talk about a health topic that many older adults and seniors often worry about, but do not always understand clearly. Many people know that blocked or narrowed arteries can raise the risk of heart attack, stroke, leg circulation problems, and other serious health trouble. But what many people do not hear explained clearly enough is this: plaque is not just fat sitting inside the artery like grease in a pipe. The story is more complicated than that, and once you understand that, the whole conversation around food starts to make more sense. This is where many people get misled. They hear dramatic claims online that one drink will melt plaque, one supplement will dissolve it, or one simple cleanse will wash the arteries clean. But that is not how the body works. Arteries are living tissue. Plaque forms through a long process involving damage, inflammation, cholesterol particles, immune cells, and over time, sometimes calcium too. That is why a serious conversation about artery health has to be more honest than a miracle claim. Let's slow this down and make it simple. Inside your arteries is a delicate inner lining. When that lining is healthy, blood flows more smoothly. But over time, things like high blood pressure, smoking, diabetes, chronic inflammation, and unhealthy patterns can damage that lining. Once that happens, cholesterol particles can move into the artery wall more easily. Some of those particles become changed or irritated in a way that triggers the immune system. The body then sends in immune cells to clean up the problem. But if this keeps happening again and again, the cleanup process starts turning into a buildup process. And this is where many people get the wrong idea. They think they only need to find one perfect food, one miracle drink, or one secret ingredient. But artery health does not work that way. And that misunderstanding is where many people lose time. That is one of the most important parts to understand. The body is not trying to harm you. It is trying to respond. But when the irritation keeps going, the response keeps growing. Over time, that can lead to more plaque, more inflammation, and in some people, more calcium in the artery wall. That is why plaque is not just about eating fat or having high cholesterol on a lab test. It is about the whole environment inside the artery. Now here's another point many people miss. The danger is not only that an artery becomes narrower. The danger is also that some plaques become unstable. That means the real issue is not always just size. Sometimes it is how inflamed or fragile the plaque has become. This is why protecting artery health is not only about one number. It is about improving the conditions inside the body over time. So now we come to the real question. If plaque forms through a long and complicated process, what kind of eating pattern may help support healthier arteries? The answer is not one magic food. It is not one miracle ingredient. It is a combination of foods that may support blood vessel function, reduce oxidation, support a healthier inflammatory balance, and improve the overall conditions that arteries live in every day. Let me give you a real-life type of example. Imagine a man in his late 60s who goes for a scan and finds out that his artery health is not as good as he thought. He feels fine most days. He is walking, sleeping, and living his normal routine. Then suddenly he hears words like plaque, calcium score, narrowing, risk, and statin. He leaves that visit frightened. He wants to do something useful, but he does not know where to begin. He searches online and finds extreme advice in every direction. One source says avoid all fat. Another says eat only fat. One says a supplement will fix it. Another says nothing can be done. This is exactly the kind of confusion many older adults face. And in that moment, what he really needs is not another extreme promise. He needs something clear, practical, and realistic. And this is why I want to make this simple and practical. If we are talking about a meal that supports artery health, we want foods that may help in 4 main ways. First, we want foods that support the inner lining of the blood vessels. Second, we want foods that may help protect cholesterol particles from damage. Third, we want foods that fit a heart-healthy pattern studied over time, not a short-lived trend. And fourth, we want something realistic enough that a person could actually repeat it. So let's build that meal step by step. The base of the meal should be leafy vegetables, especially ones like arugula, spinach, mixed greens, or beetroot on the side. Why does that matter? Because vegetables like these contain natural nitrates, and the body can use those to help support nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is important because it helps blood vessels relax and function more normally. This does not mean one salad will instantly repair arteries, but it does mean these foods can support a healthier environment in the blood vessels, and that matters over time. Now let's add the second part. Extra virgin olive oil. Not because it is trendy, and not because fat alone is the answer, but because high-quality extra virgin olive oil is part of the Mediterranean eating pattern that has been linked with better heart outcomes. Olive oil contains plant compounds that may help support a healthier inflammatory balance and protect the artery environment. This is one reason it keeps coming up in serious discussions about heart-friendly eating. For this kind of meal, a generous drizzle of extra virgin olive oil over greens makes sense. The third part is something with natural color and polyphenols, such as pomegranate seeds or berries. These foods matter because they bring plant compounds that may help reduce oxidative stress. That sounds technical, but the simple meaning is this. We want foods that help protect the body from the kind of stress and damage that can make artery problems worse over time. Brightly colored plant foods are useful here, and pomegranate is one option that often gets attention in this kind of discussion. The fourth part is something that supports a more complete, balanced meal. This could be a small amount of nuts, seeds, beans, or another whole food protein source depending on the person's eating style. Some people may also include a small amount of aged cheese or other foods they tolerate well, but the main point is not to turn this into a heavy processed meal. The point is to keep it built around whole foods that support the arteries rather than burden them. Now let's picture the meal more clearly. A large bowl of arugula or mixed greens, some sliced beetroot or another nitrate-rich vegetable, a handful of pomegranate seeds or berries, a generous drizzle of extra virgin olive oil, maybe some nuts, seeds, or beans depending on what fits the person best. That already looks very different from a typical processed lunch, and that difference matters, not because it is perfect, but because it changes the direction of the whole meal, and this is where many people get the wrong idea. They think the value of the meal must come from one star ingredient, one miracle item, or one secret compound, but often the real strength is the pattern. The leafy greens help support blood vessel function. The olive oil supports a more heart-friendly fat profile and brings useful plant compounds. The colorful fruit adds protective plant chemicals. The whole meal shifts the body in a better direction rather than feeding the same problems. Now, let's talk about another common mistake. Some people hear heart-healthy eating advice and immediately think it means bland food, tiny portions, or a life of fear around every bite. That is not the right way to look at it. A useful, artery-supporting meal should not feel like punishment. It should feel like a realistic pattern you could come back to again and again. If the meal is too extreme, too expensive, too complicated, or too joyless, many people will not keep doing it. And if it cannot be repeated, it will not help much. This is why I am not presenting this as a miracle cure meal. I am presenting it as a strong meal pattern. A meal that supports healthier arteries more intelligently than the average processed meal does. A meal that may help the body in several ways at once. A meal that fits a bigger pattern of heart-aware living. Now let's be clear about something very important. This does not mean someone should stop their medicine and just eat a salad. It does not mean that food replaces a doctor, a cardiologist, or prescribed treatment. It does not mean scans, blood pressure, cholesterol testing, diabetes care, or smoking history no longer matter. Those things still matter very much. A food pattern can support health, but it should work with proper medical care, not replace it. Let me give you another example. Imagine a woman in her 70s who has been told her cholesterol is high and her artery scan is not ideal. She feels overwhelmed. She wants to do something meaningful, but she also wants something she can understand. She does not want another extreme online promise. She wants a sensible next step. So instead of chasing miracle products, she begins building one regular meal around greens, olive oil, colorful fruit, and more whole foods. Over time, that one meal changes other choices too. She snacks less on processed food. She becomes more aware of what supports her body. She feels more in control. That is the kind of change that matters. And this is where I want to slow down and say something simple. The goal is not to be perfect overnight. The goal is to move in the right direction in a steady way. A single healthy meal does not erase years of plaque, but a repeated pattern of healthier meals may support healthier arteries over time, especially when combined with proper treatment, exercise, sleep, blood pressure control, diabetes control if needed, and not smoking. Now let's talk about objections, because I know many viewers will have them. One objection is this: what if olive oil is too much fat? The answer is that quality matters more than fear. A meal built around extra virgin olive oil, vegetables, and whole foods is very different from a meal built around deep-fried fast food and processed fat. The question is not simply fat or no fat. The question is what kind of fat, in what kind of meal, inside what kind of overall pattern. Another objection is this: what if I cannot get pomegranate all the time? That is fine. The deeper point is to include colorful plant foods with protective compounds. Berries, cherries, and other whole fruits can still help support a healthier pattern. The exact food may change, but the principle stays the same. Another objection is this: what if I already take a statin? Then this kind of meal may still matter. Medicine and food do not have to fight each other. Good treatment should work together. A person can follow medical advice and still improve the quality of their meals. In many cases, that is exactly what should happen. Another objection is this: what if I do not have time? Here's the honest answer: simpler is better. Greens, olive oil, one colorful fruit or topping, and one simple whole food add-on does not need to be complicated. It does not need to be fancy. It needs to be repeatable. Now let's come back to the big picture. Artery health is not a one-day project. Plaque does not usually form in a week, and it does not improve in a week either. That is why the language around this topic should be more careful. Instead of asking what instantly clears plaque, the better question is, what pattern supports healthier arteries over time? That is the more useful question. That is the more honest question. And that question leads us back to this meal pattern. Greens that support nitric oxide pathways. Olive oil as part of a Mediterranean-style eating approach. Colorful plant foods that support protection against oxidative stress. A simple whole food structure that is realistic enough to repeat. That combination makes far more sense than miracle claims. Now I want to come back to something deeper, because this matters for older adults especially. Many people feel frightened when they hear words like plaque, calcium score, or blocked arteries. They feel as if the damage is already done and there is no point trying. But that mindset can become another kind of trap. Because even when a person cannot control the whole past, they can still improve what they do next. They can still support better blood pressure control, better blood sugar control, better food quality, better movement, and better daily patterns. And all of that matters. So if you take one lesson from this video, let it be this: do not chase miracle claims. Do not believe that one drink, one supplement, or one food will do everything. But do respect the power of a strong meal pattern repeated over time. That is where real progress often begins. If you want a simple version to remember, think of it this way: a large base of greens, a heart-friendly drizzle of extra virgin olive oil, a colorful fruit or plant topping, a simple whole food add-on. Build that kind of meal regularly, not once, but often. Let it become part of your weekly routine. That is a much more realistic path than waiting for a magic fix. And remember, the goal is not just a better meal. The goal is a better environment inside the body, a calmer, healthier setting for your blood vessels, a pattern that supports protection rather than more damage, a pattern that works with your doctor, not against your doctor. Thank you so much for watching Senior Health with Dr. Sarah Mitchell. If this video helped you, please like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you do not miss our next health updates. Please remember, this channel is here to educate and inform, but always consult your doctor or healthcare professional for advice about your own health. Please take care, stay safe, and may God bless you with better health, peace, comfort, and strength every day.